But let's now talk about something that happened today that somebody, I think it was Steven Torres who brought it up, and that is AOC and her tweet today. So I'm gonna pull that up for everybody right now. Hang on a sec. All right, let me share my window. Huh?
And you have to look at the tweet that she replied to.
Yep, I have the whole thing. All right, first I want to give a shout out to this tweet by you, Jackson. You said it's been 8 days since the Fraud Squad and U.S. Progressives Caucus voted for Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House. Since then, an estimated 1,500 Americans have died due to a lack of access to basic health insurance. We can't wait for Medicare for all any longer. Hashtag force to vote. Don't let that die down. Keep hashtagging force to vote until we get it. All right. So here's a tweet that AOC put up today. Let me make sure everybody can see. She said, the 15-minute time is off because the House is voting according to COVID protocols. Normally, we have 15 minutes for all members to run over the floor to vote. Sometimes they leave it open a few minutes longer due to social distancing. Members vote in groups, so votes can take 1 hour. So this is in response to somebody who tweeted out, AOC, can you do a thread on how House voting works and explain why the 15-minute time means nothing? And then Blake Morris replied, and then they said, what is the purpose of a vote like the one tonight where the answer is already known, regardless of the result of the vote? Is it mainly just to get representatives on the record? And then AOC said, a few reasons. Sometimes it's to get members on the record so people can make excuses later. Sometimes these votes create real political pressure that forces developments. Sometimes we vote for the historical record to let future generations know we did everything we could. Oh, sorry, I'm like in the way a little bit here. But man, guys, that sounds really familiar, right? It sounds like she's making the case for force to vote. So Jackson, you had a video that you put up. You got on that quick. So you want to share your thoughts about that? She's making the case for force to vote, isn't she?
Yeah, I mean, she just accidentally defended force to vote and everything that Jimmy Dore and we've all been doing over the past month. You know, there's no other way of spinning what just happened. She went out there and explained beautifully in such a succinct fashion.
Yes. Very eloquently.
Forcing a vote on Medicare for all.
But Jackson, here's the thing. It was her idea. So because it's her idea, then it's okay.
Okay, yeah. So
Jimmy, she had the issue.
We're also not AOC approved organizers. I forgot about that, even though, you know, I'm sure we all used to be at least like somewhat fans of the squad and like what they were doing. I know I was a huge fan. I donated to them, you know, like, but apparently we're not AOC approved organizers either. So not only are our ideas, you know, worthless, we're also any protest or action we organize can be tossed aside because we're not approved by the squad themselves.
But I think again, this kind of goes to my point as far as, and it definitely comes off this way as politicians are like, trust us, we're the adults. You guys don't know anything, if not borderline stupid, as far as you don't know anything about government. You don't know how politics works. Let us take care of it. And so I just feel that in a way, that's very patronizing to me as far as this is what we pushed for, but because it was based on more than likely because of a jack-off comedian, that, oh no, that's not fine. But now you have the opportunity now, and you have no leverage now. Like, you have no leverage as far as even getting that guarantee, you know, to even have it come on the floor because you didn't make that tangible before. Or if you did, you didn't communicate it with the general public. And I think that's a frustration that people have. It'd be one thing if Jimmy, you know, said force to vote, and then AOC came back with with him or either Justin Jackson, like, no, we have a strategy that we've been working on, blah, 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 blah. That would have been one thing. But instead, she made excuse after excuse after excuse as to why she couldn't at that time, which fortunately Jackson just kind of swatted aside, you know. And now they're playing like, oh, we have a strategy, which is basically, you know, what Jimmy was pushing for all this time. So it's just the idea of like, kind of going back to, I think, what Jackson was saying as far as, you know, they ran on this. And back then it was like, the idea was, oh, we have to vote for Nancy Pelosi because there was no one else, you know, to be speaker. Okay. I mean, that was shit, but okay. So why not within the last 2 years created that coalition where you could have had maybe Barbara Lee, or you could even have Ro Khanna, or someone within the Progressive Coalition to challenge her as far as speakership? Why have you not done that? So it's just kind of putting into question, what the fuck have you been doing the last couple of years? Sitting on your ass and indulging yourself in the celebrity now that you have become. And so I think for me, that's kind of where the frustration is that, you know, they're living off the brand of being a progressive / being the fraud squad, the squad, versus actually fighting for the things that we voted for them for. But yeah, I just find that tweet now very condescending, you know, in my view, because this is exactly what Jimmy was ranting and raving about for the last few weeks. Yeah. And you kind of dismissed his idea as, oh, because you're a comedian that, you know, I don't have to listen to you.
I 100% agree with that. It's very frustrating. And not only do they not listen to their constituents, they don't listen to the protests, they don't listen to anything. They tell you what to care about now. Ilhan Omar had a tweet a few days ago. She posted her Ilhan Omar impeachment resolution. And she said, we're up to nearly 60 members. Keep the calls coming. 202-224-3121. Really? That's interesting because we were all calling about force the vote. We were all calling. We all called. Nothing happened. But you want people to call about your impeachment resolution. I find that very interesting.
Well, and here's the thing with that. The reason why they were able to get a House floor vote on a resolution to invoke the 25th Amendment, which I don't know why they were even pushing for that, when today they just, actually while we were on the stream, they just finalized that the House has officially approved new articles of impeachment. They passed that. So I don't know why, you know, they wanted to push for that 25th Amendment thing when they're already doing the impeachment. Just the optics of that seem a bit disorganized, a bit jumbled, but I'm not one to you know, want to like help the Democratic establishment achieve their goals or anything, but just pointing out the obvious. But the thing is that the Democratic establishment, the Democratic elite, said that bringing a House floor vote on the 25th Amendment was like a good thing. So that's why the squad, the progressives, they all united behind it, and it happened as quickly as it did. The Democratic elite doesn't want a House floor vote on Medicare for all, so they're not even going to try to fight. I mean, that's the only thing that you need to look at. If anyone's wondering, like, why is there a vote on this but not a vote on this, when they both have the potential to achieve the supposed goals of the progressives, all you have to do is look at Democratic elite's position on the two respective pieces of legislation, I guess the legislation and the resolution, and see how those differ.
So we have Combo Couch in the live chat. Shout out to you guys. Their on the ground work is amazing. And for people who are just tuning in, we have Jackson Hinkle in the top right, and we have Ricky Rance in the left, and we have Colin in the lower right. But yeah, shout out to them. They were there on the ground. They were doing amazing coverage. Johnny was like running around, showing everything, showing the cops. Jackson, at one point, you gave the cops the finger. That's what's up, man.
Well, okay, no. So the story behind that, I didn't know if anyone was really seeing that because Fiorella was speaking at that moment. But what happened was, and this happens at, if you've been to Black Lives Matter protests, if you've been to like environmental protests, Standing Rock, whatever protest that's like actually advocating for the goals of the left, what happens is, and mind you, you didn't see this at the insurrection. What happens is the cops will come out in full force, right? Full force, riot gear. They'll have their guns. There was one cop who had a rifle drawn on us when we had like 40 people on the third day, maybe 40 people on the third day. He had a rifle drawn. And what they do is they start getting out their cameras, they start getting out their drones, and they fly the drone. We didn't have a drone at the DC protest, but like I've had this at plenty of Black Lives Matter protests where they bring out drones and start filming everyone who's in the crowd. The LA, it may have been LA City Council or it was an LAPD commission, I think. They just yesterday approved a new facial recognition policy for the LA Police Department. So now they can roll out their massive facial recognition system onto innocent Angelenos who are just out protesting. But what they were doing at the protest in DC was there was a few cops who had cameras and they were actually taking pictures of all the speakers and everyone who was there. So I was like, fuck that. I'm going to throw this dude the finger so he can get a nice photo of that. And I think he did. I think he got a few when I was doing that. It made pretty good photos.
Nice. Yeah. Go ahead, Ricky.
I was just throwing up the deuces to them.
Yeah. They were very aggressive with us. And also in BLM protests, like when we were marching in the streets, there was cop cars that drove so fast right next to me and a bunch of other protesters. There were helicopters flying around us. That right there, they do all that just to protect the freaking elite.
Right.
There's one other thing I wanted to say. Oh yeah, Fiorella had a tweet. If you're still in the chat combo couch, there was a tweet. I wasn't able to have it here. Like my stream gets all effed up when I try to use Twitter and the stream, but I saw Fiorella put up a tweet comparing AOC's response when somebody asked about, why she's not doing force to vote, and comparing the response that we just analyzed here. And it was like, what the fuck? Like you're giving like two completely different arguments to achieve, like you could do the same thing for both, and it's not mutually exclusive. Like you can impeach and do force to vote. Not that I think impeachment is worth your time right now. Like the guy's about to step out of office right now. But it shows their priorities. Their priorities is more in like surface level division among people and not really giving us any of the things that we need.
Right. I'm just worried, and I'm hope to God I'm wrong, that this is not going to be the new Russiagate, as far as, especially now Biden is going to be in office next week, and have this be the focus of his first 100 days. Like, I hope to God that this is not going to be the mainstream media story du jour, as far as having this impeachment be the focus when we're still in a pandemic. We still have people who need, aid. We still have people who are about to get kicked out of their homes. We still have people who are in food lines right now. And the thing is, like, Joe Biden won because he didn't have to say anything, as far as staying in his basement. Kamala as well, So my fear is that they might use this as a way to keep Joe Biden still kept in the basement, and not have him necessarily do anything constructive over the first 100 days when he's in office. So prove me wrong, but I hope, that's not going to be the case.